set the angles on a downhill board. You could set the angles on your axles from about 50 degrees right into like almost zero, right? A lot of guys, what they'll do is maybe about small rake on the back and then a big rake on the front for more stability. That way when you push off on it, you're not, doing the stuff. And then of course, the type of board, whether you have a cutaway board where it looks like a Formula One car kind of thing, open wheel, or you just have a higher board with a spacer in there and a carved out wheel well. Either is probably fine as long as you know the limitations of how far you can lean before you get so-called wheel bite. And wheel bite's when the wheel touches the board and stops. There's no such thing as wheel bite. It's something else. The wheel basically bites in and stops. I call it wheel bite. That's what everybody that's ever went flying off a board has called it. And I've experienced wheel bite a few times on slower boards. It's one of those things that you could control it by the design of your board, but if you buy a complete, most of the time everything's thought out for you. But if you want to really build the ultimate downhill board, you got to put the biggest wheels possible on it to get the most speed typically, right? And bigger wheels they're a little safer in the sense that they're going to go over, like pebbles and stuff like that a little bit. Do some work here later today too. So go over pebbles and stuff like that, right? But also, they're smoother, bigger wheels smoother, right? So smoother, less vibration, less heat, less friction. So your bearing on a 70 millimeter wheel is going to be spinning faster to achieve the same speed as a wheel that's 80 or 85 or 88 or the big, if you can get the 102s, or like the 102s are like that big, 105 millimeters, like 4.5 inches. That's a big ass wheel. If you can fit them on, because the bigger wheels get closer to the deck, meaning when you push off on the board to slide, you can get more wheel bite, right? And there's almost no way to ride out wheel bite. It's an impossibility. Oh wow, look at that tree came, those trees came down. Where I was yesterday, one of my clients, where I was yesterday, I had tons of branches down. I was lucky there was only one tree that I got to cut, but it can live for now. There are 2 trees that I got to cut. 3 I got to cut, but none of them are in a critical area. So I'm going to find out whether there's any critical trees is, I think, a really